Out in jail and college right around here, so I can be gone for a week and then be around home for a week with some games that I get back relatively early from.
Yeah, the National Development Program has really taken off over the last, geez, I mean, maybe 10 years or so, or even a little less than that. I mean, that seems to be the U.S. hockey in general has done a great job developing programs and developing players and getting them into that program. And we're starting to see some of these young stars in the NHL at such a young age, and things have really changed as far as, you know, where these players are coming from. And I think we had 177 Americans on the roster tonight when the NHL started. So that must be easier for you guys to recruit some Americans now.
Well, it really is, and it was certainly a special group they had last year. I think, I don't know what the exact number was, 14 or 16 kids off that development team were drafted, which is quite remarkable. And we were fortunate enough to get 3 of them. So starting with Jack Hughes, who made our opening night roster. So we're excited to see how he'll do come Friday night against Winnipeg.
Paul, when Bill Daly turned that final card over during the draft lottery, and you guys, the Devils, knew that you're going to have your first pick. How did that help you guys going forward, into the combine and then into the draft? Did that narrow your list down from, let's say, 60 to 30, or how did that work once you guys figured out that you were going to have the first pick?
Well, it certainly helps when you get number one, obviously, but even for the other teams that moved up or down, it lets you focus on that last 6 weeks of the season where you need to spend most of your time. And, for us, it was, the 2 guys that went 1-2 were pretty much the 2 guys that were in the race all year long, Kakko and Hughes. And, there was still, I wouldn't say a ton of hockey, but there was still hockey to be played by both. And, both got a chance to play in the Men's World Championship and test their, ability against NHL competition. And, I think Kakko got a lot better opportunity as far as ice time. Jack Hughes was playing with all NHL players, so it was a little more difficult for him to get the quality ice time. But in one of the important games at the end, he played a lot and showed that he was worthy to be there and, a special player at that. So they're both going to be stars in the league. And, you know, it's just going to take time for them. They're young kids. They're 18 years old, so you want them to be superstars right away. But it's a tough league, and it takes time to get comfortable out there.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you look at Jack. I mean, it looks like he's not even shaven yet when you see him on television and stuff. I
See
mean,
that armpit area? Or
it's hard to believe he's even playing in the league at this point. But obviously, his talent is undeniable. But when coming from a scout perspective, when you're looking at a player, of his skill set and Kako, I mean, how does from an upper echelon standpoint, how are you making the decision to choose one over the other? Like, what stands out from one over the other?
Well, I mean, Kako obviously was a bigger kid and a little bit stronger right now. Jack is such a dynamic player, and just, I mean, his edge work and acceleration and quickness and agility down low. I mean, the kid doesn't. It's hard to hit him. He's so quick and stuff like that. He just sees the game at a different level than the guys he's playing with. And it's time will tell in the NHL. But as far as his draft year last year, just the way he saw the ice, and he would make passes sometimes that you wouldn't believe he could make them, and the guys on the other end sometimes weren't even ready for them. They didn't think he could make them either.
Sure.
So and Kako, the same thing. I mean, his game is more on strength down low, and he's a hard man to handle. I mean, he's a kid, but he plays like a man. He controls the puck down low, and he proved it against NHL competition in the men's world championships that he's going to be a horse to be reckoned with when he starts this week. And they open up tomorrow against Winnipeg, and we get them on Friday. So a good test for both teams, and both kids are going to be tested right off the hop.
A lot of people will be watching that game. Rangers Devils for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we
Paul,
play them two weeks in. We play them, so it'll be a big night for both those kids going head to head. I mean, they're going to be linked together no matter what. I mean, everybody's going to be looking at why'd you take this guy over that guy? So it's a marathon, not a sprint. So we got to be patient with it and let the cards fall where they may. But I think they'll both be stars in the league when it's all said and done.
No doubt.
yeah, Paul, just to touch on Jack Hughes a little bit, I got a chance to catch him in preseason, and obviously not all the guys are in the lineup, but he had a great showing for the preseason for the Devils, and just as like you said, being able to pass the puck and people aren't expecting it. I was watching a power play, and he went to almost fake his shot, but he slid the puck across to Wayne Simmons on the backside, and I don't think Simmons was really ready for it. He had the whole net to shoot at, and
I do remember
it was just like a stellar pass. I mean, it was something that you would see from a veteran like NHL player, and Simmons just couldn't handle it. He just thought he was shooting too. So I mean, he does have the ability to make crazy passes, and he popped some goals in the preseason too. So I think we saw some good things.
Yeah, no, he's going to be a special player, no doubt. And our power play is going to be better working with guys like Palmieri and Taylor Hall, Nico Hischier, and Simmons sometimes will be a guy in the front of the net creating havoc. And we also picked up a Russian player named Nikita Gusev, who should be a real good power play guy for us. And he's an unbelievable passer. Like, he makes plays similar to Hughes, where you don't see, he knows where it's going, but nobody in the building knows where it's going, and he finds a way to get guys at the back door, through seams, whatever the case may be. He's a special player. Been one of the best players outside the NHL for a long time.
And you picked up PK Subban too from the point. We'll probably see a bunch of power play time this year.
Yeah, he's an exciting player, and brings us a little more of a first D pairing guy, and he's got the big shot from the point on the power play, and he's so animated out there. He's fun to watch.
He's animated on and off the ice. That's for sure.
Yeah, got quite the setup going there. Him and Lindsey Vaughn, quite a pair.
Yeah, social media kings.
Yeah, Paul. So you have a long-term relationship going back with Ray Sherrill, right? I mean, talk about how he tries to build a team. What's his mindset? when he's building a team. Obviously, you look at the makeup of this year's team, and it's it's going to be a gritty team with a lot of talent on it too. So can you talk about how he builds a squad?
Yeah, I think, Ray sets the tone as the leader of our group. And, I think when he came to New Jersey, that's when I started to work with him. I worked with him a little bit in Ottawa back in the early days, and then he moved on to Nashville. But coming to New Jersey, he knew, and everybody that he brought in knew, that it was going to take time. And the main thing he preached to the ownership was patience. And, you have to be patient. You have to draft well, and you have to, you can't be, knee-jerk reaction, signing guys to crazy money just to make a splash. And Ray thinks everything out, and it's a slow process, and I think that's the way you have to do it when you're rebuilding. And I think he stresses to us, anyways, as scouts. We're looking for, obviously, talent. Everybody has to have talent to play in the league, but he makes it very important to us that we draft players with character, that are going to fit the culture that he's trying to build in New Jersey. And, we feel we're on the right track now. And right now we got a good mix of young kids and some older veterans. So, hopefully we'll make another step this year. We had that playoff run a couple of years ago, and that might have been maybe a little early. We had a great year. The goaltender played great, got us in the playoffs, but we took a little step back, and now it's time to take another one forward. We think we've got a good enough team to challenge for the playoffs.
Yeah, no doubt. We had a Doug McLean. He's an old buddy of yours on the show a few episodes ago. He said that he absolutely loves you, but he said that all the bad picks that they made were all your fault, but he took all the shit for him.
Oh yeah, and he took credit for all the good ones too. Don't worry.
You know how it works.
That's how it works. The GM, they don't see the players, but yeah, they say they take the shit, but they get all the glory when they turn out too. So, great to give me a good plug on the airways. Sad to see him. I don't know if he's come back to do anything, but it sounds like he might be in retirement. I don't know what he said. You guys had him. What do you say when you guys had him on? Taking it easy?
He's taking it easy, golfing and hanging out in PEI, and he's just going to try to get his golf game in line, he said.
Well, he's got a long way to go to get that in line, I can tell you.
He definitely went out of his way, though, to say how much he appreciated all the stuff you did, but just frankly that you meant a lot to him and stuff like that. So he gave a good shout out to you for sure.
Yeah, Doug, I got to give a shout out back to him because he gave me a lot of opportunities to grow in this business and gave me a lot of responsibility in Columbus, and I owe a lot to him and that organization for getting me where I am today.
So you kick his ass in golf is what you're saying? Is he a long way to go?
I used to, but I don't play much anymore, but I'd love to challenge him again.
You heard it here first.
Paul,
yeah,
I had a question, just for, scout wise, there's many scouts for one organization with each having their own area that they kind of check out and, scout, and each are pretty adamant on a player. And when you guys all sit around the table and are talking and deciding, are you the one that makes the final decision, or how does that work? Because I'm sure there's, 6 to 7 or 6 to 10 scouts, all just adamant on one player that they've scouted personally. How do you narrow that down to, your 6 picks that you had in the first 3 rounds?
Yeah, well, ultimately Ray would have the final say, but Ray doesn't see everybody, so he's obviously in tune with the first couple picks for sure. Then I have another, director of scouting who's with me, Gates Orlando, who played at Providence College the same time I was at St. Lawrence. Great hockey guy, and him and I are kind of responsible to see everybody like you said, we have guys in each area that recommend guys, and then Gates and myself will get out there and see these guys as much as we can, and then we do exactly that, sit around the table. And what we're looking for obviously is the guys that are pounding the table for their guys, scouts in an area that are passionate about a player. That's what ultimately wins out in a vote is we still get out there and see them, and then we want guys that are ultimately so passionate about the player that they just want them so bad that they convince us that that's the guy we got to get on the list in the right order. And we probably have about 15 guys around the table. So
Nice.
A lot of guys pounding the table.
yeah. Well, you mean we've got a scout in every European country, and the Western Canada, Ontario, Quebec. We got 3 guys covering the United States leagues, and and then the colleges on top of that. So it's an interesting process, but it's a great opportunity for me, and I really enjoy it.
Nice.
Paul, do you get up this way anymore, up towards the Canton area where you went to school at SLU, or no?
Yeah, my wife's actually from that area, so we have a cottage on Higley Hill, so
There you go.
we're up
Nice.
there. We're up there all summer.
Nice area.
Yeah, we spent a bunch
Yeah.
of time up there this year. Actually, Derek and I were up there doing a little boating, hanging out on the beach over there. Had the kids running
Yeah, I
around.
see Boomer. Boomer, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Boomer's up there. I see him and Johnny Collins and
Yep.
a couple other guys. So it's when the weather's great, it's a fun place to be in the summer. That's for sure.
Yeah,
In
they
the
got about
In the
you get
summers.
about 4 weeks.
Yeah, we hope for 6 if we're lucky.
So we got a big transformation going on in Appleton. It just came out this week that they're not going to be ready to play there until I think Thanksgiving now. So big for that.
That's right. And they said they were ahead of schedule. Now they're behind, huh?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it doesn't look like they're going to be putting any ice on there anytime soon. The wind's
It was
blowing.
a tight schedule anyways, and they're doing a lot of renovations. So I'm not really surprised, but it's going to look beautiful anyways.
Yeah, they kind of put their foot in their mouth this week as they came out and said that they're going to play their home game against Clarkson at Shield. So they're going to have to play both of their games back to back. I think Friday, Saturday night over in Potsdam, and then they're going to play their other home games at the SUNY Canton's new arena. It holds about 1,000.
I have a good story for you guys. I don't know how old you guys would have been when I was there.
What year? What
It
year?
would
I
have been
was born in 81.
85. 85.
Okay, so we were young. We were there. We were running around, eating stuff off the floor in the rink.
Okay, so we played Clarkson in the playoffs, and we actually warmed up at Appleton and then got on the bus and went to the game.
Oh, really?
So they had no clue what was going on. We never showed up for the warm up. They were like, "What the hell's going on?"
It's a mind game. That's cool.
Who was the coach of that team? I think I heard that story. Was that Joe?
Mike McShane was still the coach.
Oh, okay. That's
Joe
fun.
was an assistant. Joe Marsh was assistant at the time, and Randy Sexton was assistant.
Oh, okay.
So you went over to the old Walker Arena, right?
And we didn't want to listen to that bell for the whole warm up, so we warmed up at home.
That's
Drove
funny.
10 miles with our. Just had to put our skates on when we got there.
That's awesome.
It didn't. Well, I think we tied the game, but we ended up losing the series though.
Oh,
So we had nothing to lose.
that's right.
Hey, Paul, you got Halloween coming up. Does anybody ever confuse you with Wayne Gretzky?
You know what? I get asked in the rinks. A lot of times people think I'm his brother. I just tell people
You do have a
I look
likeness
like
to
him,
him,
but
man. You look like him.
yeah,
You do look like him.
I look
Not
like
a
him.
Well, Paul, it's a pleasure to have you on. We're really excited to hear about New Jersey, and actually to watch New Jersey this year. I think they probably made some of the best moves in the offseason to put together a good team for a playoff run. And
Definitely.
we really appreciate you giving us some time. We know the hockey season's just getting underway, and you're really busy. And Thanks for coming on the Blue Line Hockey Club tonight.
Yeah, my pleasure, guys. And anytime, feel free to call if I can help you out or come on. I'd be more than happy to do so.
Thank you
Awesome.
very much.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it very
Thanks,
much.
Paul. Appreciate it. Good luck this year, man. We're watching.
Good luck. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Take care. Safe travels.
Okay, see you.
See you later.
Paul Castron, guys, that was very cool.
Yeah, Paul Castron, guys, Vice President of Amateur Scouting for the New Jersey Devils. Been doing this for a long time. I think we went through at the beginning of the interview, 8 seasons with the Sens, 16 with the Columbus Blue Jackets, and now he's with the Blue. I don't know how many seasons he's been with the Devils, but a few now. So, 20 plus years, 25 years doing the scouting thing. So he's worked his way up to VP. Obviously, he's talking about traveling all over internationally, all over the world now, looking at players. Where we had regional scout on last week for the Penguins, so he's got up to the position where it sounds like he's calling more shots on what players are coming to the organizations and what players aren't. So it's pretty cool to get these guys on, talk a little bit about the behind the scenes of the New Jersey Devils, and like we just said, they've made some good moves in the offseason, and I think they're going to be pretty good this year.
Yeah, so with Palmieri and Hersher and Sajak and Severson, so Palmieri had 50 points last year. With the moves that they made, I'm excited, for the season, but I'm hoping to see that those points start to climb. And I think that they have the atmosphere, the players in the locker room this year that I'm hoping to see that. I don't know what they're going to get. 50 seems low to me. I won't make any projections on that, but I'm hoping to see that their leading points are closer to the 80s, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, they'll be up there for sure. They'll be the top of their league or conference for sure. With their roster on paper, how can they not? But again, we've seen that before with Pittsburgh and Edmonton and a few other teams. But I think what Jack Hughes is going to bring to the table, PK, and what the Devils have, it's going to be top notch. I did want to ask him, what was the final decision of why they picked Hughes over Capo, but I didn't really want to get into that. I know Capo didn't go to the NHL Combine in Buffalo this year. He won the World Juniors, as Paul said, so he was partying. He had a legitimate excuse not to be at the Combine. But I'm just excited to watch this season and see how the two players, develop and how they play in the NHL. Because, right now, I don't know. I'm 50-50. I don't know. That's how good these two guys are. And
Yeah.
I'm pretty interested to see if Hughes is the number one pick, because it could have been Capo. Like he said, he's a big boy. He's a man. And I think he's going to do big things for the Rangers.
Yeah, I think if you read between the lines a little bit, I think what I was grasping from him was that, Capo, he's kind of a little bit more refined and mature and grown ass man type player right now. But I think when you look at Jack, I think what they're looking at is maybe more upside. They see maybe a little bit more upside as he develops, as he gets some strength, as he builds a little bit more muscle.
Goes through puberty.
It goes through puberty, gets some armpit hair, things like that. But it's I think once you get that guy into an off-season program too, I think he's going to be a star right off the bat. Honestly, I think he's probably going to produce quite a bit this year. Frankly, I think both of them will. But I think if you kind of read between the lines, at least my take, I thought it was kind of making it sound like they felt like Hughes has a little bit more upside, and he's a little bit more of a finesse type player, where Capo is more of like a power forward type player. So I think it just probably fits their program a bit more than they felt that Capo would. So I think it's a crapshoot in the end, though, because like he said, they're both going to be stars. So.
Yeah, I was a little surprised. Well, I wasn't surprised after I saw the preseason games that he produced and had a great preseason. To him, have him make that, NHL lineup, that is huge. I was expecting to watch him in Binghamton and see how that goes, because he's so small. I just wasn't sure. But, like Paul said, he's hard to hit. He's fast, he's shifty, and damn, that kid's got hands. Oh my
Yeah.
God. His hockey sense, I mean, it's just some people are born with that kind of stuff, and some people have to work their ass off for it, and that kid's got it.
A lot of my family members kind of said they resembles me when I was growing up playing hockey. So
Yes,
I've heard the comparison actually.
I see it
So.
myself. Yes, I was going to say that.
I think he is doppelganger or whatever it's called too.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, I was just going to touch on that real quick. Is seeing that Paul is actually in Michigan and being the VP of scouting, I'm sure he saw Jack play a lot of games, being the development programs right there. Being a United States kid, possibly the next Austin Matthews coming into the league. I mean, that's got to hold some weight for these guys that are scouting, right? If you're the head scout in Michigan and you're the head scout of the team, you've probably seen this guy play a lot more than Capo had. I don't know if that's the case, but Jack had a lot of hype. I mean, he was on every show leading up to the draft. He was all over the place as far as the media went. He definitely had the most PR going on in the draft for sure.
Yeah, and being a scout out in Michigan, especially in Ann Arbor, is the mecca of being. That's where the mecca of being a hockey player or a scout, because you have the national team development program, you have University of Michigan, you have Michigan State. You have the
Yeah,
Plymouth Whalers of the OHL, so every OHL team's coming through Plymouth, which is just northeast of Ann Arbor. So, I mean, you can, technically watch the OHL, the NCAA, and then you got the USHL with the development program. So, being out in Ann Arbor or being in Michigan, I mean, Paul or any scout out there can watch numerous leagues and scout numerous leagues. So it's huge to be out there in Ann Arbor, especially with Plymouth there too. That's huge. Plymouth Whalers is the only United States team that plays in the OHL. So that helps. That's good to see a couple OHL teams come down there.
It's a good little tidbit. I didn't know that actually, Patrick, about Plymouth being the only team
Yep.
in the only American team. Yeah, I mean, but he, he's obviously just, he is based in Michigan, like you said, but, obviously since he's at VP level, I mean, he's overseeing everything. So I'm sure he had plenty of intel on Capo as well. But I think at the end of the day, it's going to be a coin flip. And I think they're both, I don't think one's going to highly outperform the other. I think they're going to both be bigly, as Rob likes to say.
Yeah, I think there's some pressure to take Hughes. I think it's some little bit of pressure there to take Hughes as a number one pick. I mean, all the people that are involved in USA Hockey want that number one pick to say, hey, the United States got the number one pick again. It's not very often that we get an American as a number one. So, that was probably some. I don't think they get pressured, but I'm sure there was a lot of people pulling for that to happen.
I know we all certainly appreciate that, but.
And there's been a lot lately from the development program. You got Jack Eichel, Austin Matthews, Jack Hughes. Then top 10, there's a bunch of them. I mean, a lot of these kids in the NHL right now that I watch. I mean, McAvoy, we had him on two podcasts ago. He was out the development program. Greenway was out development program, had him on. Clayton Keller was at the program, had him on. Brady Tkachuk was at the program, had him on. He actually got a goal tonight. Tonight's first game, Battle of Ontario, Toronto versus Ottawa. Brady scores 30 seconds into the game. So I mean the development program's doing great, putting up high draft picks, and like Mark said, kind of like we've been taking over the last 5 years, I would say easily.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember when we had what's his name from the USA Hockey was on a long time ago. He was a numbers guy.
Reagan.
Not Gavin Reagan, Kenny Roush.
Oh, Kenny Roush, yeah.
And he went through the numbers on where the United States was going as far as producing NHL players, and we're increasing at a higher rate than any other country right now as far as developing guys that make the NHL roster. And the Canadians used to be way ahead of everybody else in that that gap has shrunk over the last 10 years, and the United States is the one that's picking that up. So, Canada used to be the top dog. They still are as far as numbers in the league, but the United States are right there. So it's good to see that, a lot of people, we've talked about it, the USA hockey program and how they do things, they don't like it, at the minor levels, but it's obviously working.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the change at the minor levels is probably one of the more difficult ones to turn off or to turn on. The cross ice stuff I thought was right on. There was some more administrative stuff that I think everybody kind of bitches and moans about. Having to go sit through the coaching classes. Um, I could go either way on that, but
Yeah.
the cross ice stuff I think definitely makes sense. You have a lot more busier hockey play going on in a smaller environment, which makes you think faster. It makes you move the puck faster. It makes you play the game at a faster rate. So when you get to the full ice and things slow down a little bit, your brain is still used to thinking on that faster pace. And I think it's bearing fruit, right?
Yeah. And just to correct myself on what I was talking earlier, there is 3 American teams in the OHL. There's Saginaw too, and Flint, which is right out there in near Ann Arbor. So what I was just touching on earlier about being the mecca of a scout out in Plymouth, Ann Arbor area, there is even more with Saginaw and Flint. So great place to be out there.
And Erie.
Erie, yeah, I forgot about Erie. Yep.
And,
Basically, you didn't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Give us 10 minutes, there'll be 10 more teams.
Well, there's
Yeah,
not too many. I
Minnesota
mean,
is right there,
they've been
too.
getting into the league, so I
No,
can't
but
keep
that also,
track of everything.
that also shows if they're letting American teams in that league that the United States hockey is on the same level. So
Yeah, that's true.
it's good to see. I mean, Rob, on this point of the USA hockey thing, you have the USA hockey teaching coaches what they want them to, how they want them to coach, right? So a lot of people that coach minor hockey either thought they were really good at hockey or maybe they were really good at hockey, right? So they go back to the way that they were coached and stuff like that. And when you get into other sports like your minor soccer, lacrosse, baseball, I mean, they're just going out there and winging it, right? There's
It's
no,
still a mess. Yeah, it's
I
still a
mean,
mess.
they don't have structure like USA Hockey saying, all right, here's a whole booklet of drills. Here's like, an online module where you can go and do your practices. Like they're trying to give coaches the tools to actually coach the way that college teams are coaching now. College teams are coaching with small games. It's not just the minor hockey that's going to small games in small areas and their practice and stuff. So, I mean, this could be, we can talk about this all night as far as debating USA hockey. It's a very controversial thing, but
Yeah.
how about we give a little shout out to Branded Bills and Sauce Toss, little sponsors for our hockey news tonight. We have the opening night of the NHL. Boys, been waiting for this for seems like a long time.
Finally.
Yay!
In reality, it went by pretty quick. So we do have
Yeah.
hockey on TV right now. I had the Maple Leafs and Senators game on. It was 5-2 Leafs, and I don't know what it ended up. I think it's over.
That was a good game. I'm not going to, well, I guess I'll pump my tires. Yes, I did call Austin Matthews picking up 2 goals tonight, and he did.
You did say that?
And he did.
Told me that.
I
I
put
think-
it on. It's on the interwebs. Check out one of our accounts. I forget which one it was, but it's out there.
Austin Matthews now might be the leading point or goal scorer on opening night. They had a little
4
thing
years
on.
in a row, he's got 8 goals.
Wow, pretty good.
So 2 goals a opening game each season. That's pretty fucking good.
Pretty good. Yeah, so it's finally here. It's exciting. A lot of trades went on, a lot of exciting things that we've been talking about all summer, and now it's finally coming down to see all this come together and see what happens. Preseason was pretty fun. Nothing crazy. I know the Hurricanes went 5-0 preseason, pretty big down here for me and Peters. Been going to the Hurricanes game, tailgating, had a great time. Got some box seats, no big deal. Just box seats. Somehow I got the cooler open. Um, just a little extra yank in the box seats there, and it comes right open.
That's how you get the free beer, huh?
I get the free beer. Red Wings did pretty well too in preseason, 7-1, 7-1. So it was pretty big. Just touch on the Central Division, just because that's the one I focus on. Stars had the best record out there. Blues, Jets, Preds, and Avalanche. But that a lot of people have been talking about that division this year. That's going to be the toughest one to play against. It's going to be the toughest division to make your way out of into the Stanley Cup playoffs. So it's going to be excited. I don't know how it's going to pan out there. I know the Jets, they did pretty well last year. I don't think they're going to do too well with Bufflin on sabbatical or whatever you want to call it. Trubo went to New York Rangers. Just a lot of uncertainties there, so I don't know what's going to happen out there with the Jets. The Wild, who knows? A lot of crazy stuff there. Just what Fenton did. They can only go up. We'll see what happens. I think the Stars are going to be the top dogs out there. Blues, obviously, but it's tough for the Blues to win again. They had to play 26 playoff games last year. I mean, that's a lot of it's just taxing on every player from the goalie to the fourth line. So to have a repeat deep into the playoffs is pretty tough. I know Pittsburgh has done it a few times, but it's tough to do. Predators, I think they're going to do pretty good out there. Traded PK to free up some cap space for Matt Duchene. So I think that's going to be, the Predators might be on top there with the Stars. The Stars got Pavelski, Corey Perry. Last year, I know when we were, getting towards the end of the playoffs, they just couldn't score at all. Their top line was Seguin and Bean couldn't put the puck in the net. So it looks like the GM there, he's kind of taking his priority to offense, picking up Pavelski and Perry. So we'll see in the Central, but Blackhawks, I don't think are going to do anything. Avalanche, that might be a team that can come around and do something with those young players. Ratnan re-signed with the Avalanche. Cale Makar. So it's going to be fun. Good Central Division. Toughest division in the NHL by far.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Pat, you have the Atlantic, right? So I think I'm sorry, Central. But I think the Atlantic. I think a lot of people have like Atlantic being one of the really good divisions, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, some good teams out there too. Yeah, but a lot of people have been talking about the Central. That's just the caliber of teams, caliber of players and teams.
What else?
The teams with the highest points were Tampa and Calgary.
Yeah, Tampa's the favorite this year again to win the cup.
Well, listen, after a first round knockout, they've got a lot to prove, and they better be playing with a chip on their shoulder, and they better not lose first round or it's going to roll after letting Stevie Y go, excuse me, and then they might be rolling into something else after
I don't think they let Stevie Y go. I think he walked.
He probably walked on his own, but I think they had I don't know. I wasn't there, but it's my understanding it came down to
he was in the vending machine again.
It came down to, basically a vision for the team, and Stevie Y said, well, it's time for me to leave here.
Yeah.
So.
But I mean, Metropolitan Division, I think he too has that division. And we just had Paul Castron on. I mean, Devils. I'm excited to watch the Rangers, man. I think they're going to be pretty good this year.
I agree. I think Carolina's got that like disadvantage of not being able to surprise anybody this year, right? Because of how they turned out last year. So that's going to be a really competitive division, and I don't think a lot of people are giving the Rangers, a big chance to be up there, like be a playoff team coming out of that division. But I agree with you, Pat. I think they could surprise some people. They got a really good young squad, and obviously a hell of a coach with Quinner. So I don't know.
Can you call him Quinner?
We could. Well, I heard
Well,
that you
we
can call him.
can.
Yeah, you can call him. So I thought,
We can.
secondhand, I could call him Quinner. So
I texted him like a week ago and said, Quinner, need tickets to the game. He said, okay. And so he didn't mind me saying Quinner.
no, and he was like, "All right, talk to you soon, Quinner."
No, he just said, are they flew for all the guys in the Blue Line Club? I said, yeah. And he said, all right, man.
Yep.
They'll be at the box office.
Guys, serious question. Do you think Ovechkin can pass Wayne Gretzky's, which record is it, points or goals? He's like within 250 goals of the record.
It's a lot of goals.
Let me ask the IT guy to look that up. Hey, Rob, can you look up and see if Wayne Gretzky? No, I don't know, Rob. I mean, it would be. I don't know the numbers, but the way Ovechkin plays and throws his body around, I don't think that's a good topic or a good question. I don't think Ovechkin has too many years left. You guys? I'm saying 3 max.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you. I mean, I don't know if, I think he's still probably, in my opinion, I know most people think Crosby's probably the best player in the league, but I think Ovechkin kind of is the best all-around player in the league, in my opinion. But,
it's way tougher than Crosby.
Yeah, he's got a lot left in the tank, but I don't know if I think he's smart enough of a player too to, he'll probably play a couple, 2-3 more years, and then he'll just bag it, like, before he breaks himself down too much, probably.
Just meet up with Kuznetsov and just get a frig kilo.
That's where he got it from. What do you mean?
Oh, that's where he got it from Ovechkin.
He got it from Ovi.
I saw a picture. There was a picture of Ovi. Must have been over in Russia or something. Looked like with his grandmother or something. I saw that on social media recently. So that was
a Russian hooker.
Okay. He must like the old one. He must be into like
their skin. Yeah.
Mature porn.
Yeah, mature. Mature ladies.
I was gonna say, when Paul brought up the story when they practiced at St. Lawrence before the Clarkson game and then got on the bus, those are cool head games. I love fucking with other teams like that. One time at Salisbury.
Oh, before you say this, Rob, I was like, someone told me a story of like you didn't show up and then finally you did. That was your football team, right, or some shit?
What happened was we were going to play. It was a football game, so it was football season, and we were going to play Berkshire, which is like maybe 10 minutes away. It's our closest nearest private school. It's a big rivalry. And what they did was the coach was like, "Hey, let's do something different here." And what we did was we got off the bus outside of the campus. And instead of taking the bus all the way up, going to the locker room and getting changed and all that shit, what we did was we walked in line. We were in formation, full fucking gear, painted up, ready to go.
Style.
And we were silent with the exception we were going boom, 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 boom. So as you could hear it, we're getting closer to the field and it's getting fucking louder. And people are starting to fucking crank up. So they're on the field practicing, like, where is this team? And then before you could see us, all you could hear is, I forget how many people, probably
boom, boom, chew.
50 people walking up with their pads going boom, boom. And we came in and it was just electrifying. We kicked the ball off. They won the flip. We kicked the ball off to them, and no shit, they ran a touchdown back on us.
That's 38-0.
So they were going crazy, right? They were like, "Oh, these guys thought they were good." Well, we came back and scored another 8. I think it was 7 touchdowns on them or something crazy like that, but beat the snot out of them. And, that is a memory that, I'll never forget. It was something, just outside of the box that was completely, I'll never forget it.
You didn't come off the field, did you, Rob? Your offense and defense, right?
Offense, defense, special teams,
Special teams,
you fucking
punter,
name it, right? Hands
Water
teams,
boy.
you name it. Yeah. A lot
Nice.
of fun, though. I think I love to hear those stories.
Yeah.
Because you're just playing a head game. It's like Doug Smitty there, the goon,
Yeah.
getting ready in warm-ups and going up to the fighter and saying, hey, where's your heavyweight?
Yeah, right.
Is your heavyweight here today or what?
You guys look
just
for a
fucking
heavyweight.
with them. It's great. I love to hear those stories.
So the Maple Leafs finally got a captain. I think we talked about a few podcasts ago, like 6 years, 8 years.
Johnny T.
Yeah.
Johnny T.
Yeah, I just want to touch on that conference a little bit. I did see that tonight. I was a little behind in the news. I was kind of shocked when I saw the C on his jersey because it's been talked about so much. And I don't know if they have any A's. Like, it's not like Austin Matthews is wearing an A, so I didn't really see. But that was big for Toronto. They haven't named a captain in a while. Austin Matthews had his issues off ice, so that probably played a little role in who got the captain. But
Do you think it did?
I don't know, man. It just showed immaturity, right? So you're gonna not that he's not ready for it, but when it comes out in the media and it's all over like that, what's the administration gonna do as
Do
far
you
as?
really think they waited the last minute to say John Tavares is going to be the captain, or do you think they knew the answer to that?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I mean, this is another one that I called back with Colton Salsa.
Debatable. Yep.
I said that I think it's going to be Tavares.
Yeah, you did. You called it. The only reason, I think they did that, Rob, is just because what's he got? 3 years left in the tank, 4, and he's gonna be there for the, he's gonna hang him up in Toronto. So, and Matthews is just gonna get it. Matthews isn't going anywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
Matthews is gonna his jersey's gonna be retired in Toronto for sure. So it's not like he's not gonna get be a captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs ever. He just has to wait in line. I disagree with Mark. I don't think to him pulling his pants down had anything to do with it. I think it was Johnny T had it. He deserves it.
They had Babcock on a couple of interviews, and he's just messing with people. Like everyone, everybody wants to know the answer. Are you going to name a captain this year? And Babcock was like, I don't know, maybe. He was like, well, maybe. And he goes, well, I know the answer to that. The answer is yes. And the guy was like, well, tell us who. And he's like, oh, I'm not going to. So
Not only do players hate him, so does the media.
I just think it's stupid that they do that. I don't even know what are they trying to think like they're better than every other NHL team, and you have to like join a secret society to be the captain. Just fucking every team needs a captain to talk to the refs over there by the fucking penalty boxes. I don't know what's the whole reasoning behind it. What is the reasoning behind it? They haven't had a captain or assistant captain in like 4 years. That's the dumbest thing ever said.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think to be on the other side of it, devil's advocate side of the thing, you look at like teams like in the NFL, right? So what they do a lot of times is they kind of roll out a different group of captains for every game. You know what I mean? So maybe it's like a situation where, you're not trying to put some player up on the pinnacle where everybody's kind of looking up to them. It's where you kind of jostle it every game going in. You name, 2 or 3 different guys. They're the captains. They're going to be who talks to the refs that game. So I don't know. You never know. It can come down to a chemistry thing, wanting to, not have not putting anybody up on a pedestal and giving them the C that everybody's staring at. So who knows? I mean, frankly have no fucking clue what goes into it. I mean, maybe Toronto does think they're better than everybody, but obviously their statistics over the last few years prove they're not. So
I mean, nothing.
Yeah. So just to touch on the same thing that's happening in Detroit, and they've decided not to do a captain this year. They're going to do they're going with 4 A's again, like they did last year. So they're in the same boat.
But just to interrupt you, Mark, I mean, they have A's, though. I mean, Toronto doesn't have
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to get into that conference a little bit, and also just touch on the Metro. Um, the Atlantic, I feel, has like really good teams, and then has a bunch of average teams and some sleepers, right? So you're gonna have Toronto, Boston, and Tampa Bay, the top of that conference. Then what's going to happen with Florida? There's a lot of talk. Florida's going to be good this year. Are they going to be able to produce? Um, you know, Buffalo, I don't know. I think Ottawa and Detroit are going to struggle all year, and the Habs are going to be a little bit in the mix. I just feel like that division is going to be locked up by those top three teams by the end of the year. And
I
then
almost forgot that Montreal. I forgot Montreal as a team.
and then with Derek's division in the Metro, I think that team is the biggest wild card right now of what's going to happen. Because you have a team like Carolina, they can win games, right? Columbus lost a bunch of players. What's going to happen with them? Islanders were a sleeper last year. You have Pittsburgh and Washington probably going to do well. But then you have the Flyers, the Rangers, the Devils, the Blue Jackets. I mean, those are all up in the air teams. Are any of them going to be sleepers? So in that division, with New Jersey making a lot of moves, and with talking to Paul tonight, I think they have a good shot of being in the top three teams in that division at the end of the year, just because there's so many. Besides the Caps and even the Penguins, we don't know what's going to happen with them either. So I think that New Jersey has a good chance being in a division like that doesn't have these powerhouses like Tampa, Toronto, Boston. Uh, so I think it's wide open in the Metro, and I don't, in the other division, I don't see Detroit doing big things.
No.
I don't see Ottawa doing big things,
No.
and frankly, Florida's just a crapshoot. New coach, new goalie. They brought in a couple of good players, but that team's got to prove themselves. Maybe they're the Islanders, or they're the Hurricanes of this season. We don't know.
That's a possibility. That's very
I
good
think
possibility.
the Metro definitely has a ton of parity. There's no doubt about it, But I think league wide there's a lot of parity. But look at Philadelphia even too. Alain Vigneault taking over that team. Kevin Hayes signing a big contract over there. That's a team. Carey Hart as a goaltender there. He, some people picking him as maybe the best goaltender in the league now. I don't know. I mean, there's parity across the league. I think if you look even down to Peter's division out there in the Pacific. I mean, Rob, you can go ahead and talk about some of this stuff, but I think Vegas is going to be a hell of a squad, man. They're loaded. I mean, that team is,
On paper.
First of all, they're on paper, they're loaded. Marc-Andre Fleury's great defensive core there. But Pete, go ahead and talk about the Pacific a little bit if you want to. I mean, I think Vegas is going to come out of that division there.
I agree. I think on as far as a volume, the Pacific has Calgary. Their leading points was Gaudreau had 99.
They're going to be good
Edmonton,
this year.
McDavid was 116. Draisaitl had 105. And then when you go over to the Sharks, had a ton of people that were contributing, and then you have Vegas. So that's four very, very good teams. Now Edmonton, they had McDavid had 116 points, but we saw how well that helped out in playoffs, right? They didn't make it.
Edmonton, McDavid. Yeah, I think the Flames are going to be the team to come out of there again this year. Just signing Kachuk.
Strapped up, yep.
They got the goalies out there. They switched the goalies up out there. I forget who they picked up. Picked up the goal, Cam Talbot from Edmonton, I think. I think they swapped players. They got Milan Lucic, right? Where'd he go? He went one way or the other. Edmonton
to Calgary.
Cam Talbot went from Edmonton to Calgary too. So I like Calgary. I think they're going to be good. I've always liked Calgary. Saddle Dome, great hockey fan, great hockey presence out there. I think they're going to pull. I don't think San Jose is going to do shit this year, to be honest with you.
Arizona.
Yeah, Arizona.
We didn't get to mention Arizona. That's a question mark. Yep. Last year, Keller was their leading point getter with 47. And they brought in, Kessel, obviously, which was 82 points. So, the last year they had 47 with Keller. They brought in a 82-point getter. So, we'll see how that turns out. They still
We
have
need to
to
get Keller on.
find that chemistry and stuff. But
So I think I'm kind of going against Pat right here. I think San Jose probably will be a decent team in that division, just compared to some of the other teams like Edmonton and some of these other teams that have struggled. San Jose had a great season last year. I can't see them falling off too much. They didn't lose that much. And we also had the Evander Kane thing happen this week where he went ballistic with the refs and he got suspended for a couple of games.
I got to tell you, as a player, I'm typically, I would, for a player, the player's point of view anyways, but having seen that, what the fuck is a ref doing anyways?
I
He
agree with you.
followed him and was trying to get your ass on the
Antagonizing
boards
him.
and run from blue line to blue line.
I agree with you.
Your job is not to step in front of a fight if two guys want to roll.
Especially
way.
Evander Kane and
looked-
Reeves.
It looked like too like they were starting to separate at that point, and then the fucking ref just like tackled him to the ground. It's like, what the fuck are you doing?
He looked like he was going to get back into play. He didn't look like he was going to chase him down. The ref went and got in his way and tackled him. So he's lucky he didn't get popped.
Yeah.
We just talked about this last week with the potential of the female refs coming into the league, right? So, and we talked about this situation almost exactly, right, where a guy is getting fired up and basically push the ref, right? So, if that was a female ref, what would that suspension look like? Just putting that in there because we talked about it last week.
Well, hopefully she'd be smart enough not to.
Yeah, she'd be smart enough not even to antagonize it and
tangle.
Yeah.
Maybe we'd have a lot more fights if we had female referees. They'd let shit go.
I just like that drama between Kane and Ryan Reeves this year. That's going to be good. Two heavyweights.
I think he's suspended for their game though. I think they play him tonight.
Is he?
Got to check the scoreboard, but it might be tonight that they're playing. But anyways, it's San Jose and at 10:30 tonight Eastern. They're playing tonight, so he'll be suspended for that game, and that's been talked about. Reeves had said that he's Kane's worst nightmare,
they've been hyping that game up. Now he's suspended over bullshit.
Yeah, and then the other news that we didn't touch on, you guys were actually at the game, was Tom Wilson going fucking bananas on Carolina.
On the bench, he went over to the bench and was talking shit on the bench, and then he tried to blame it on Brindamore. When you look, Brindamore couldn't have said too much. Maybe he said something to him, maybe he didn't. But when you look at it, he didn't have a whole lot of time to say much.
Yeah, he was
pull your head out of your ass or something. I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah, he's a fiery dude, man. He's going to be interesting to watch. I mean, we could make a call right now if you guys want to. How many games Tom Wilson will be suspended this year?
You better be careful about what he does, though. I mean, because he's already on thin ice in the NHL. So I think he's going to have to be a little bit careful about what he does.
Yeah, he just had the Raiders player get suspended for a whole year because he had reoccurring whatever penalty.
He's a dirtbag. Holy moly.
He's done for the year.
Vontez Perfect. You see that hit though? I mean, I think he's been suspended like 15 times.
Really?
Fined like hundreds of thousands of dollars already over his career, but getting off on a side note. But the guy, I mean, that hit, he just got suspended for the whole year. I mean, he was the tight end for the Colts, caught the ball on his knees, and he was getting ready to get up, and fucking Perfect just basically turned himself into a human fucking spear. And just smashed his friggin' head. You watch it in slow motion, and you're just like, what are you doing to that guy? But I don't know.
There's no head to head. And, to be leading with your head like that is.
Well, I mean, it was so blatant. It was unreal. And as he's running off the field, he's blowing kisses to the fans and stuff. So it's not like he was remorseful about it. I mean, it was he's happy I tried to kill somebody, basically. So. And I want to touch on one thing about your Central Division before you go. I disagree with you on something. I think the Blackhawks are going to be a good team coming out of that division. Honestly, they're actually if I'm gonna make a kind of off the wall prediction, I think the Blackhawks are going to surprise a lot of people and make a playoff run. I think Alex DeBrincat, I think he's going to end up leading the league in goals this year too.
You
I'll
got a
call that.
boner over him.
Yeah, I know, but they have a good team, man. DeBrincat, Patrick Kane, Nylander. I mean, they got
Jeez.
Toes,
Toes.
goaltender, Toes.
Gustafson.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
anyways, they got a pretty good squad there, man. I don't think they're anything to be looked over for sure.
Two
But
good goalies. They got the goalie from the
Crawford,
Islanders.
yeah,
Yeah.
Crawford too, yeah.
Just
Yeah.
on a side note, did you guys watch that baseball game last night and see the
I
Brewers?
missed the good part. Went to bed.
Well, I did too. I shut it off at the bottom of the 8th, and I guess all the action happened in the 9th. Had a shot out to right field, and the rookie left field, right fielder missed the ball, and it went right underneath him. And 3 runs. Nationals beat the Brewers. Unreal.
Yeah, he ran up on the side of it and kind of, scoop it up with his glove, and it just.
Who did that on first base? Wasn't it? Who was that? Famous to play Bill Buckner? No,
Billy Buckner,
Yeah.
Billy Buckner.
Red Sox.
Yeah. So
Oh, yeah.
they're saying the guy, that right fielder, he was a rookie there. They're saying that he's definitely in a cave somewhere up in the mountains because everyone wants to kill him.
Is that like one of those? That's like the one and done playoff series, right? Whoever won that game goes
Yeah.
into.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tonight Tampa Bay's playing Oakland. I don't know what the score of that is right now, but Lance Casey had something on Facebook. He's been an Expo fan since he was a kid, and he's been waiting 40 years for the team to win a playoff series. I guess you could call it a series. Only that's one game, but I didn't realize they hadn't won a fucking series in that many years. So
I think
good
it's over
for them.
40 years. Yeah. I mean, it's
Tampa?
no,
No.
for people that don't know out there, the Washington Nationals used to be the Montreal Expos. So people that are fans of the Montreal Expos have continued to carry it on to the Nationals, but they haven't had a lot of success. So I'm sure their fan base is pretty pumped.
I actually been to a couple of games down there in Washington, and the stadium was fucking empty. They don't have a big fan base there. I don't know why. But yeah, sucks for them last night. That was awful. Couldn't believe that they were winning going into it might have been the bottom of the 9th, and they fucking lose it.
Yeah, I couldn't believe they won, man. I went to bed. I'm like, oh, this game's over. Fucking wake up. They lost. Or they
A
won.
lot of people won some big money on that. Obviously the Milwaukee was actually no. I think Milwaukee was supposed to win, so a lot of people are happy going into that. But a lot of people were pissed because if they had money on the Nationals, they were going to the bottom of the 9th. They were excited they're going to win some big bucks there.
Pete, what's the score of the Tampa game?
Happen.
So just to mention Montreal, Derek just mentioned the Expos. The Tampa Bay Rays have actually got approval from the league to play home games in Montreal. I don't know if that starts next year or the after or whatever, but they do have approval to start playing up there. So we might see some baseball back in Montreal.
That'd be cool.
Oh, that's cool. I remember going to a couple of games when I was a kid up there. I think you used to take a bus. Didn't they used to have like a bus that would go up there or some shit?
I was real young, but I remember.
Yeah, I've been to several games in Montreal. They're fun games to watch. Moises Alou.
Yep.
Gary Carter.
Gary Carter. Yep.
What do you got for a score of that wild card game, Pete?
It's 5-1 right now. Tampa over Oakland.
Wow.
Yeah. So they'll be playing
The Rays. So Tampa is, we'll stay on the baseball train here for a minute, but Tampa is one of the lowest
attendance.
Not attendance, but lowest paying team. They don't have a whole lot of money, and they use the shit out of their minor leagues, and they're, they do well for not having a huge budget.
Yeah, I think we talked about that, like with teams like Winnipeg in the NHL. You gotta depend on a good farm system, good scouting, stuff like that to build good quality teams. I'll tell you, Tampa Bay. The one team that doesn't want to see Tampa Bay is the Yankees. I mean, Jesus Christ, the Yankees always have so much freaking problem playing the Rays for some reason. I have no idea why, but so as a Yankees fan, I'll root against Tampa.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna have the Indians, I think, starting tomorrow or the 4th. I don't know.
I don't think there's anything better watching the Yankees versus the Indians. I mean, I think it just goes back to the movie of the
Major League.
Major League. and then the Yankees. I mean, just
Give him the
just
heater.
watching those two teams play in postseason is fucking awesome, especially with Buck commentating it. It's fucking classic.
It is a good time, man. I've looked forward to watching that stuff. It's fun watching
Yeah.
baseball this time of year.
Best time of year to watch baseball. I mean, I've watched probably the last month the Yankees. I probably didn't watch any of the games leading up to September. I always get into it at the end of the year, and the playoffs are awesome. I mean, like their wild card game, one and done.
Yeah.
So it's pretty intense. It's because baseball is so slow to watch, but at least in the playoffs, every hit, every run, it's
Every
like,
pitch matters, so that's why it's more intense. Yeah.
yeah, you kind of need that intensity to watch baseball at some point, because it is such a slow game. But boys, we do have this is an exciting time for us. We do have hockey starting back up. I was checking out the games for tonight. There was 4 games tonight. It gets rolling this week. We have the baseball playoffs coming up, so we got a lot of good sports on TV. NFL on the weekends. There's not really a better time of year to watch sports than right now. So a lot of good viewing. We'll touch on some baseball next week.
Pumpkin beer.
Maybe
Pumpkin, baby.
touch on what's going on in the NFL, but obviously we'll have a lot of hockey news for you next week and another special guest coming up next week too. So we did have Paul Castron on tonight, Vice President of amateur scouting for the Devils. So that was pretty cool. And we got a couple big guests coming up in a couple weeks. We got Eddie Belfour coming on, so don't miss that one. Eddie the Eagle. I think he's a Hall of Famer, isn't he, boys?
He is, yes,
He is.
sir.
Yeah, Eddie's got a new liquor out there, Belfour Spirits. Him and his son actually started this new venture, and looks pretty good. I think we're going to try to get a couple bottles, and they might be throwing some sponsor money our way. So it's going to be excited to talk to him. I mean, all 4 of us guys have watched Eddie Eagle Eye since we were kids. Him winning a Stanley Cup with Dallas, so huge to have Eddie Eagle come on.
And we've all blacked out on whiskey, so.
And we've all, so
And puked.
it's gonna be exciting.
Several times.
Just wanted to throw in there besides Eddie Eagle Eye Belfour, which is huge. All our other podcasts that we just had McAvoy on. We're getting Don Waddell on, the GM of the Hurricanes. Obviously, the Hurricanes made a big run last year. Their AHL team, the Charlotte Checkers, won the Calder Cup. So we're going to get Don on, talk about there's a lot of transactions this year with the Hurricanes, a lot of transaction with the Checkers players. So we'll get him on, talk a little bit about what the Hurricanes look like going forward.
Yeah, now that we're kind of based out of Raleigh, North Carolina, this is perfect for us to get into the know of what's going on with the Hurricanes and develop a relationship with that organization. So it's big news for the Blue Line Hockey Club, and we can't wait to talk to more Carolina Hurricanes in the future after we have Don on. So if you haven't listened to some of these podcasts that Pat just talked about, go to BlueLineHockeyClub.com or your Apple Podcast app or Stitcher or any platform that you like to watch or listen to podcasts, and you can catch our show there. So we have 76 episodes now, so lots of listening. Catch up on what we've done over the last year and a half, and we keep putting out great episodes for you. So check out Twitter, Facebook, BlueLineHockeyClub.com, and you can check out all our stuff. All right, boys, another great podcast. And until next time, keep your stick on the ice.
Hey,
Sweeto.
Oh, doctor.
meow,
Keep your head up.
meow, meow.
Sweeto.